The Indiana Fever made huge leaps as a franchise in 2024. Not only did they improve on the previous season's 13-27 record, but the Fever were competitive in their first playoff series in 8 years. Despite getting swept by the Connecticut Sun, Christie sides can take positives from the matchup against Stephanie White's team. The Indiana Fever were underdogs coming into the two games as the Connecticut Sun have players with more playoff experience. Game 1 could have been different had Cunningham-Clark not been poked in the eye. This affected her performance as she went on to record 10 points on the day. Next season could be a special one for Clark and the Indiana Fever for varying reasons. Let's dive into why the Indiana Fever can go deep in the playoffs next year. The Indiana Fever are one of many franchises that have made big moves in the offseason. They have revamped their roster by getting of Nalissa Smith and Temi Fagbenley and bringing in Dewana Bonner and Natasha Howard. Sophie Cunningham and Jaylen Brown are also additions which should not be sniffed at. The big question surrounding the roster is how long will the new players take to gel? If they hit the ground running, the Indiana Fever could be in for a very special season. It is hard to argue with those that will say that the Indiana Fever have made upgrades as the players that have been brought in are good. White was previously Fever assistant coach from 2011 to 2014 prior to making the leap to head coach from 2015 to 2016. During her first spell as Fever coach, she guided the franchise to 2 third-place finishes in the East, which resulted in a WNBA Finals appearance and a first-round exit. She is also well-seasoned as a coach, having served as an assistant from 2007 to 2014. She can handle the pressure of dealing with Cunningham-Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell as she coached experienced veterans such as Alyssa Thomas, Dewana Bonner, and Brianna Jones at the Sun. This expectation put off some candidates for the role. White is also coming in at the perfect time when you factor in Fever's 2 best players are very young and the ever-improving franchise is on the rise. In 2022, they were bottom of Eastern Conference with a 531 record, but they followed this up with a 13-27 record in the 2023 season before a respectable 2020 showing last campaign. The Indiana Fever, like other franchises, have chosen to make big changes to their roster. While some teams have made upgrades, there are others who have taken steps back and weakened their roster. The Connecticut Sun are the biggest example of a team who have completely revamped their roster. They have got rid of Dejonai Carrington, Thomas, Bonner, and Jones. To make matters worse for the Connecticut Sun, their coach went to the Indiana Fever in the offseason. You also have franchises like Washington Mystics who have not made any notable additions to their roster. It is difficult to envision these two, along with Golden State Valkyries, having a good season. The Chicago Sky and Indiana Fever announced on Friday that the 2 games between the teams set to be played in Chicago during the upcoming season will be moved from Wintrust Arena to the United Center. Furthermore, the contest originally scheduled for July 26th will now be played on July 27th. These will be the first WNBA games played at the United Center, which holds over 20,000 people for basketball games, a figure double that of the 10,000-seat Wintrust Arena. Here's the updated schedule. Given the explosive growth in the WNBA, we now have a first-ever opportunity to invite more fans to experience this matchup at a larger venue of the United Center. Sky president and CEO Adam Fox said, "Chicago Sky fans have consistently shown up for the team and the city, and we want to reward their passion and dedication by bringing this excitement to an expanded capacity. We know Skytown will help us create a special environment at the United Center this summer." This move comes as little surprise considering the interest in Cunningham-Clark and the Fever, and, in particular, their matchups against Angel Reese and the Sky. In fact, Clark suggested the move last year, though both Fever games in Chicago remained at Wintrust Arena. "I'm surprised we're not playing at the United Center," Clark said prior to the Fever's first game in Chicago last summer on June 23rd. "I thought that would have been really good for the game and really good for all the women's basketball fans in Chicago. Maybe there's a conflict of some sort that I don't know about. Obviously, that's a little above my pay grade." The Fever have now had 4 road games in the upcoming season. In addition to the games in Chicago, the Fever's 2 road games against the Washington Mystics have been moved from the Entertainment and Sports Arena in Washington, D.C., which holds just over 4,000 people, to the CFG Bank Arena in Baltimore, Maryland, which has a capacity of 14,000. In addition, the Mystics have moved home games against the Sky and Las Vegas Aces to Eagle Bank Arena in Fairfax, Virginia, which has room for 10,000 people. In year one, every time the Indiana Fever and Chicago Sky faced off, it was a sellout. Only natural that a similar outcome is expected in May. Recognizing the high anticipation among fans, the Chicago Sky decided to move the matchups to a venue that could accommodate more spectators than Wintrust Arena. Notably, Wintrust Arena holds only 10,400 fans. However, due to overwhelming demand, the Sky has chosen to relocate the games to the United Center. This marks the first time that the 960,000-square-foot multi-use entertainment facility will host a game between these two teams. Home to the NBA's Chicago Bulls and the NHL's Chicago Blackhawks, the United Center has welcomed over 70 million fans in the last 31 years. Beyond basketball and hockey, the arena hosts more than 200 events annually, including major sporting events, family shows, and concerts featuring top musical performers. Now, over 20,000 spectators will have the opportunity to witness this highly anticipated showdown. Chicago Sky president and CEO Adam Fox explained the move, stating, "Given the explosive growth in the WNBA, we now have a first-ever opportunity to invite more fans to experience this matchup at a larger venue." This move comes after other teams made similar decisions, unsurprisingly involving Cunningham-Clark and Indiana Fever. The 2024 Rookie of the Year's influence on WNBA viewership and attendance is quite clear by now. In her first season, the league averaged over 657,000 viewers, the highest in 24 years. Clark hasn't just drawn fans to arenas, she has made it impossible for people to take their eyes off her. This past season, Indiana Fever's televised games averaged 1.18 million viewers, whereas other WNBA games averaged only 394,000. According to Sports Business Journal, 22 games surpassed 1 million viewers, and 19 of them featured the 2024 ROTA. But the clarifying statement of the rookie's impact was highlighted big and loud when the two rivals faced each other. The season's most-watched regular season game was a matchup between the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky. When the Reese and Cohen defeated Clark and the Fever 88-87, the game amassed an average of 2.35 million viewers on ESPN, making it the most-watched WNBA game in 23 years. This is precisely why the Sky Fever rivalry is expected to generate massive attention this season. By moving the games to the United Center, the Sky are setting the stage for a potential attendance record. Currently, the WNBA's regular season attendance record stands at 20,701 fans, set during a 2024 Fever Mystics game at Capital One Arena. With Clark and Reese on the court, the upcoming matchups could potentially surpass that number. Additionally, the Sky's current attendance record, set in 2016 at Allstate Arena, 16th for 44 fans, is almost certain to be broken. In fact, there's a strong chance the Sky Fever matchups will record the highest attendance in WNBA history. And with the WNBA expanding its schedule to 44 games per team this season, up from 40 last year, there are even more opportunities for historic moments. While the Chicago Sky's move to the United Center is a business-driven decision, it's clear that Cunningham-Clark's influence played a significant role. We will only know the success of it on May 17th and June 7th. Cunningham-Clark's fame has grown rapidly after a sensational rookie season. The Fever star had a historic college career at Iowa University and returns to play a preseason game versus Brazil. The hype is real for Cunningham-Clark's preseason game as the tickets sold out in under 40 minutes. The minimum resale price to get in sits around $7.15 including fees. This is more expensive than any game in the NBA. For more context, a floor ticket for the NBA game between Philadelphia 76ers and Chicago Bulls costed only $297. Minimum fees to get in was $4 for the NBA game between Memphis Grizzlies and Phoenix Suns. The NBA has some catching up to do as WNBA's superstar sells out stadium for a preseason game. The league's viewership has gone down and ticket prices are falling due to less attendance. The women's basketball game is growing rapidly and WNBA is becoming mainstream. Cunningham-Clark has been a major factor in this growth with her breathtaking shooting and passing. Every Indiana Fever game is a sold-out and is shifted to a bigger stadium by other WNBA teams to maximize on ticket revenue.